If these 5 things seem normal to you, then it could be that you're on the autism spectrum. And I'm going to dive in and explain all about that right now. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about here, scripting social interactions or any interactions. Now, autistic people, because they are of the autism spectrum disorder, it has an inability to understand those given social constructs. So typical conversations, interactions, and just average conversation, like small talk, asking somebody how the weather is, what time is it, what are they doing, how did they enjoy their weekend, all these things are missed. So autistic individuals will find themselves scripting or practicing, preempting and planning a conversation to have with someone to seem as if they're a typical average person. So walking outside and pretending to say, hi, how are you? Oh yeah, it's hot today, the weather's really nice. But in actual fact, that's not an ad hoc conversation, as in that's not an off-the-cuff conversation. That is a conversation that the autistic individual has scripted, or better way of saying it, planned out in their head and practiced it many a time before actually going out and doing that. And the same can be said for ordering stuff, like going to a store or speaking to somebody in a shop, like ordering ice cream. You kind of repeat the thing that you're going to order again and again and again, so you make sure that you understand what you're asking for, how to ask for it, and when you're going to ask for it. And because of that, you then have a script or a plan in your head to then go forward and say to the person at the shop, hey, I would like, an ice cream with sprinkles and a chocolate flake. That is the essence of things that we as autistic individuals find normal or just okay and average to us, but other people don't do this. So typical neurotypical people who are not autistic, do not do this, and it's a big telltale sign that this is an autism spectrum trait or characteristic. The next one is repetitive routine behavior, but more importantly, I'm talking about having a favorite cup or kitchen utensil, and it's like having a favorite fork. So there are many forks and spoons and knives in your kitchen, and they all pretty much look the same, right? But on a deeper level, a more closer level, autistic individuals will have their favorite. So you may have 5 forks that are all the same. They're all just black forks that you use. But an autistic person will have a single black fork, which they're like, this is my fork. And that is a repetitive, comfortable routine, because autistic individuals like repeating the same things because they feel comfortable, because they know what to expect. There is no surprise. There's no element of like jarring, oh my God, what do I do now? When you know what you're going to have, when you have the same thing, it becomes comfortable, right? And so autistic individuals want to live in the comfortable era of, I don't want any surprises coming up. Same with mugs. If I wanted to choose my mug for a cup of tea, even if my mug was dirty, I'd have to clean it and use that one, because even picking a clean one out doesn't have the same feel to it. It doesn't have the same predictability. It doesn't have the same comfort of having the same one. So having a down to specifics of a fork, a knife, or a spoon that you only have, and the one you only use, this is very reminiscent of autism spectrum disorder because of the repetitive, actual intent of wanting to do the same thing over and over again. Okay, so the next one is sensory selective sensitivity for food regulation, or connecting food to certain things or certain events. So when I was younger, I wasn't able to have like certain foods at home, but I could have it in school. And it's the same kind of now. Like, I have ketchup with certain things, but the ketchup has to be warm. But I can only have ketchup with like French fries and hot dogs. I cannot have ketchup if it's with anything else. So although I like ketchup, it's actually situational based sensory input. So I only like the hot dogs with ketchup on it, but I don't have any other type of sausage with ketchup on it. And this situational based activity with food can be seen in many places. It also has temperature differences. So where you may like something in one room and you could eat a pizza in the living room, you can never eat a pizza in your bedroom. This is a sensory locking of activities. So other things that come along with this is maybe you like bananas, but you only like bananas cold. Kind of like me with I don't like ketchup if it's not warm. But I only like ketchup with certain foods when it's warm. And maybe you like bananas, but only if they're cold or in the fridge. This sensory idea is, again, certain things will have a situational-based sensory comfortable or comfortability to it. And that is so interesting and so very reminiscent and characteristic of autism spectrum disorder, because autism being a communication disorder and a neurodevelopmental condition, it will have certain things like this in it. Now, if you're relating to this, you have to give me a thumbs up. Be like, Dan, you just called me out. I feel seen. If you do feel seen, leave me a comment down below. My name is Dan, by the way, and I have autism and ADHD and OCD. So if you are new around here and you want to learn more about this stuff, I put videos out pretty much every week. So just subscribe by hitting the notification bell down below, or give this page on Facebook here a like. The next one I want to talk about is communication difficulty and understanding the needs for subtitles. Now, this is a really interesting one. Because communication can be difficult when it's audibly said to you, autistic individuals like to back it up with subtitles. So even if you could be in a room that is quiet, no issues, the TV's on a good volume, and you can hear everything they're saying, you may not really understand everything they're saying or even take on board or absorb what they're saying on the television. So you'd have to have subtitles. So the subtitles and the picture come together, kind of like an old reading hack where if you listen to an audiobook and read the physical book at the same time, you retain more information. And that can be said for even when I've got headphones on. I'll have subtitles on my videos when I'm scrolling through. And this is such an interesting way to understand how the autism brain works, because you're wanting to increase the amount of input that is relevant to the thing that you're trying to absorb. Okay, the next one is being hypersensitive to certain sounds, but very interesting sounds. Like it could be a buzzing of something electrical in the room, and you're like, what is that? And only you can hear it, right? And you're like, this is it, this is making a high-pitched noise, and you unplug it, and everything feels okay again. This is so reminiscent of autism, like high-frequency sounds or even low-frequency sounds, but specific to you. Only you can hear these because you're hypersensitive to this. Or annoying noises like, you know, an ambulance noise or a siren or something like that can annoy you to a point of like overwhelm, right? So it's not saying that, okay, I know people need ambulances. I'm not saying that ambulances are annoying. What I'm saying is that the loudness of the noise of the ambulance could really like just irritate you to your core. And you're like, oh my goodness. And you need to like, you know, sensory deprivate, put headphones on or close the windows or something like that. Now, if you guys are wanting to learn more about autism hacks for life, like putting on sensory headphones when you hear the ambulance, I actually have a free tool. You can go to www.autismhacks.net right now, fill in a few details of yours specifically, and it will generate you a life hacks PDF book just for you, bespoke for your autism needs or your needs if you don't already know you're autistic. And also on the site, there's a test to see if you are autistic, so you can always check that out. I'll leave it linked below and in CAD here on YouTube. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is stimming. And stimming stands for self-stimulatory behavior. Now, why is it that we can do these things and think they're normal compared to like typical people? And it's because those things become comfortable for us. This one specifically is rocking in your sleep or moving using a certain motion in your sleep to feel relaxed, feel comfortable so that you can actually sleep. Now for me, there's a few different ones. I rub my toes together quite a bit, or rub my feet together, and doing this to me was always normal, right? Until people were like, hey, this isn't normal, this is actually stimming or self-soothing behavior, self-stimulatory behavior, which is the stim in stimming. And this was really interesting to me because I was like, wow, but it's probably the only way I get to sleep. Now, there are other times where I want to rock myself to sleep. If I'm feeling a little bit more anxious or if I'm a bit sick, I'll rock my body to go to sleep just to feel a bit more relaxed and have this kind of repetitive motion, kind of like rocking backwards and forwards or like tapping your fingers together. Autistic individuals enjoy this because of repetition that makes you feel comfortable. Now, some other people that I know like to have people's hands on their face or maybe a blanket on their eyes to go to sleep. Not necessarily a sleep mask, but actually somebody's hand physically on their face to go to sleep, because this calms them down and makes them feel really relaxed. And I love this about it because there are so many differences that we like, but we think these things are normal. Like, well, of course I want somebody's hand on my face to go to sleep. Or of course I'm going to rub my toes to go to sleep. I know, I just called you out. I see you. And if that is you, you have to tell me what you think about it. But rocking to sleep, rubbing your toes to sleep, these are very, very common in autism spectrum disorder. And if I've just called you out and you're like, oh my goodness, maybe I'm autistic, you can always do the test on my site. You can go to theaspieworld.com/test. Check it out.